The Sharks beat Gloucester 36-22 last night in the Challenge Cup final, becoming the first South African team to win a major European trophy. But they didn't just beat them, they absolutely dominated. If I had told you the Sharks from the beginning of the season, who had won 2 out of their first 11 games, who've only won 4 games in the entire URC campaign, would even be sniffing a trophy, you would think I was absolutely delusional. But here we are. The Sharks have lifted the Challenge Cup trophy, their first trophy in years and years and years. And in today's video, I want to break down 5 points or takeaways from the Sharks game, what made them so good. Before we do that, please make sure you absolutely mur that subscribe button. We're trying to hit 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and we can't do that without you. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, leave this video a like, and drop your opinions down in the comments. Let's get into what made the Sharks so good last night. So the first point or takeaway is the first 10 minutes of that game. Gloucester started like a house on fire, and the Sharks looked a little bit shell-shocked, sort of. They couldn't get their foot into the game. Gloucester were absolutely dominant in those first 10 minutes. They were getting penalty after penalty. The Sharks gave away so many penalties that Apelele Fassi ended up getting a yellow card, and he probably should have got a yellow card off a kick where he collided with one of the Gloucester players in the air, and it was just a penalty. So I think karma came around there, but the Sharks defended like absolute madmen. Eben Etzebeth saved a certain try with his knee when he slid across the line there and sort of picked the ball up from the outstretched arm. But the Sharks definitely showed their defensive capabilities in those first 10 minutes. I do think Gloucester made a severe mistake by not going for points, but rather going for the line, and they wanted the Sharks to pick up a yellow card, which is exactly what happened. But then they couldn't capitalize on that yellow card, and Sia Masuku ended up putting 3 points on the board while Apelele Fassi was still off, and the Sharks actually ended up winning that period of time. We then move over into the next takeaway, and that is the Springbok front three, and you could probably even throw Eben Etzebeth in the front three or front four there, because they were absolutely phenomenal. When the Sharks were under so much pressure at the beginning of the game, that is kind of what turned around the momentum. It was time to scrum. Vincent Koch, Oxenchur, Bongi Mbonambe, even Eben Etzebeth absolutely obliterated that Gloucester scrum. So much so that they ended up taking Gloucester's front row off at halftime and putting on 3 replacements. Ox, Vincent Koch, and Bongi all ended up playing 70 minutes, which is very unlike a South African side, but it just shows how good they are, shows how much experience they have, and shows how much trust Plumtree has in those front 3 guys. I mean, they were absolutely phenomenal. Vincent Koch even kicked a 50-22. He won man of the match. They were absolutely phenomenal. They fronted up. Their scrummaging was incredible. Their defense was incredible. They got that go forward ball. I thought Bongi had a great game. Vincent Koch obviously got man of the match. Ox was incredible. Eben Etzebeth was absolutely everywhere, and it just shows the quality of those Springbok players in the front 3 or front 4. Then our next takeaway is how bloody good Sia Masuku is. Now, we've been speaking about Sia Masuku for the last month or 2. He kind of came into the Sharks setup from the Cheetahs and was kind of given an opportunity because Cohen Bosch wasn't having a great season, and neither were the Sharks. So he kind of got gifted this opportunity at the Sharks, and he's taken it with both hands. I mean, he's won a ridiculous amount of Man of the Match awards, and it's no coincidence that the Sharks season has turned around since Sia Masuku has been in charge there. His decision making as a fly-off is absolutely incredible. He either puts people into space, puts them into a gap, or he has a little chip over. You saw last night that Sharks got turnover ball. He looked to pass. He saw there was space open there for Makazolo and Pimpy. He puts the cross kick through, and his execution is absolutely pinpoint. Sia Masuku has proven now on the biggest stage that he's been on a Challenge Cup European final stage, that he has the BMT to hang with the big dogs, and not even hang with the big dogs. They absolutely destroyed Gloucester last night, and he was the general that allowed that Sharks team to do that. He was also absolutely superb off the kicking tee. I think he kicked 9 out of 10 kicks. He only missed the 1, but we saw against Claremont in the semi-finals how clutch he was off the tee. I think he kicked 7 from 7 there. So he's shown that he has what a Springbok fly-off needs to have. They need to be able to kick. We've seen that in Handré Pollard. We've seen how much backlash Manie Libbok has got in a Springbok top for when he misses a couple of kicks. On a side note, Manie Libbok has been kicking absolutely phenomenal. But anyways, Siya Masuku has also showed that he's a general. He can run that back line. He can find the space. He puts the little kicks over. He's just a very, very, very good fly half. He has the BMT, and I do think it's time that Rassie Erasmus has a look at him, especially for that Wales test that falls outside of the international window, meaning that probably the Sharks are definitely available to play in that game, and probably the Lions. So who are you going to put in that 10 position? Are you going to put Siya Masuku, Sanelo Ahamba, Jordan Hendrickse? For me, you got to go Siya Masuku. He's the form man. He showed that he can get it done on the biggest stage against England internationals in that Gloucester side. So incredible season by Siya Masuku. He still has one game to do it against the Blue Bulls. Incredible season. I would love to see him in the green and gold against Wales. Then someone else who is definitely knocking on the Springboks door is Grant Williams, and more specifically how accurate Grant Williams was last night. In a final, kicking is very prevalent because the one team is trying to make the other team make a mistake, and that's when you capitalize. So that's why you see a lot of kicking in high-level test matches, in grand finals, in things like that. And Grant Williams, his box kicking was absolutely phenomenal last night. Pinpoint accuracy just outside of the 22 over and over and over again. And it kind of worked very nicely into their game plan because Grant Williams puts up the kick. If they catch it, great. If Makazole Mapimpi gets the ball back, great. But if there's a knock on in either direction, that's also fine because the front row, the Springbok front row, are absolutely dominating Gloucester in the scrum. So even if the Sharks knock it on, it's scrum time. The Sharks win a penalty. They get that go forward ball. So Grant Williams' execution of his kicking last night was absolutely phenomenal. I thought his passing from the base of the ruck was also pinpoint. There was one pass, it was probably about 15 to 20 meters long from the base, left-handed, put Siya Masuku into space, and then he popped it to Fussy, and Fussy broke through and scored that try. So Grant Williams, absolutely phenomenal. He even had an intercept last night. So he had a great game. He's also one of those players that could definitely play against Wales. Grant Williams can play 9, he can play wing, he can play 15. And with the Stormers and Bulls probably not available, those players over in Europe probably not available, I wouldn't be surprised to see Grant Williams start in that number 9 jersey, start in a wing jersey, start in a 15 jersey. So a very, very good, accurate game from Grant Williams last night. And then my final takeaway is that points are everything. Now, it sounds very simple, but in a final like that, you saw how much it cost Gloucester not to take those points in the first 10 minutes. And then you get someone like Siya Masuku, who is just so clinical with his place kicking. He ended up kicking 15 points just through penalties. That's not even through conversions. So I think it's just something to keep in mind for the Springbok side going forward for the game against the Bulls next week. Both sides need to remember how important points are. Take the points on offer, especially when you're dominating up front in the scrum. And that's all I have for you guys today. An absolutely huge congratulations to the Sharks for winning the Challenge Cup final. It's so big for South African rugby. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are down in the comments. If you haven't, make sure you absolutely mur that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take it easy. Peace.